Pack your things, Mercer. You're done here. The words sliced through the conference room before I could even sit down. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward me. Some sympathetic, most pretending not to enjoy the show. Victor Crane, my boss, my mentor once, stood at the head of the table, his smile sharp enough to draw blood. And while we're being honest, he added, tapping his gold pen against the polished mahogany table, I'm seeing your wife now. A few people gasped. Someone tried to laugh and failed halfway through. I didn't say a word, didn't throw a punch, didn't even blink. I just picked up my briefcase, walked out, and felt 40 versions of pity burning into my back. By 10 a.m., I was officially unemployed. By midnight, I realized I might be the luckiest man alive. That realization began with a phone call. Unknown number. Rough male voice. You don't know me, Daniel, he said, but I know what your boss did. He didn't just steal your wife. Then came 5 words that changed everything. He stole something far worse. I sat in my dark living room, the glow of the streetlight crawling through the blinds. Lauren's perfume still lingered in the air. Expensive, foreign, not the kind she used to wear. I could picture her now, laughing that bright, hollow laugh she'd perfected in the last year, probably sitting across from Victor at some overpriced restaurant. Victor Crane was everything I wasn't. Silver hair, perfect teeth, a voice people obeyed before they even processed the order. Vice President of Eastland Supply for 6 years, feared by everyone, respected by no one. I'd watched him dismantle careers with surgical precision, always smiling while he did it. I'd once thought I was the exception. For 15 years, I'd played the loyal soldier, first in, last out, carrying this company's numbers like they were my own children. I'd built Eastland's Midwest division from nothing, landed the multi-million-dollar Hayworth contract, and trained half the people who now refuse to look me in the eye. And then, in one afternoon, I became a joke. My mother, Evelyn, used to warn me about men like Victor. That one's got cobra eyes, she'd say from her chair at Maplewood Assisted Living. He bites when you least expect it. I'd laugh it off, tell her not to worry. But mothers know. They always know. Lauren had started changing months ago. New clothes, late nights, a gym membership she never used, phone glued to her hand. I told myself she was just tired. People drift, I thought. They find themselves again. She found Victor instead. The signs were all there. The quiet phone calls in the garage, the credit card charges that didn't make sense, the faint smell of cologne I didn't wear. I'd asked her once about the lingerie bag I found in the laundry room. She didn't even flinch. Just because you've given up doesn't mean I have to, she'd said. That was the moment I knew our marriage was already gone. Ryan, my brother, had seen it before I did. We'd meet every Thursday at Murphy's Tavern, him with his grease-stained hands from the auto shop, me still in my suit. She's not herself anymore, he said once, eyes on his beer. And Crane's been asking around about you. You sure you trust that guy? I brushed it off. Told him Victor was just pushing me harder because he saw potential. Turns out, he just wanted my life. When the unknown caller hung up that night, I sat in silence for a long time, phone pressed against my ear, heart thudding like it wanted out. The words echoed in my head. He stole something far worse. I didn't know what that meant yet. But at 3:17 a.m., when an email hit my inbox from an address I didn't recognize, subject line, "You need to see this before the morning news." I understood. It wasn't just my marriage Victor had destroyed. It was the company, our accounts, our ledgers, the Hayworth contract I'd bled over. Every number was fake. Fabricated. Shifted through shell invoices and dummy corporations tied to Victor's name. He hadn't fired me out of spite. He'd fired me to silence me. The next morning, I drove to Ryan's shop. He was already waiting, arms folded, eyes hard. "You ready to stop pretending everything's fine?" he said. I showed him the files. He whistled low. "This isn't just fraud, Dan. This is federal time." We sat there, two brothers in a grease-scented office surrounded by wrenches and invoices, plotting the kind of revenge that doesn't involve fists, but justice. Because that stranger on the phone was right. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the witness. And Victor Crane had no idea how far I'd go to take back everything he stole. Daniel, close the door. Victor Crane didn't look up from his desk. His gold pen clicked against the mahogany in that slow, deliberate rhythm I'd come to hate. The conference room behind me was filled, 40 people from my division pretending not to stare through the glass walls. I closed the door anyway. You're fired, he said flatly, still clicking the pen. Clean out your desk. I blinked. What? He finally looked at me, a thin smile forming. And one more thing, he added, leaning back in his chair. Lauren and I are together now. Thought you deserved to hear it from me. The room outside went silent. A few gasps. Someone whispered my name. I didn't respond. Didn't shout. Didn't even breathe. I just walked out. That afternoon, I drove until the sun went down. No destination, just asphalt and disbelief. By nightfall, I was sitting in my driveway staring at the porch light Lauren had left on, the one she used to leave for me when she cared. I couldn't bring myself to walk inside. At 11:42 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Daniel Mercer? The voice asked. Rough, steady, older. You don't know me, but I know what Victor Crane did. He didn't just take your wife. My throat went dry. Who is this? Then he said 5 words that made my blood run cold. He stole something far worse. And then the line went dead. I didn't sleep. By morning, my mind was a carousel of memories. 12 years at Eastland Supply, 15 years of marriage, a daughter away at college who still thought her parents were happy. My whole life had been built around routine. Early mornings, black coffee, 12-hour days, steady promotions. It all looked solid from the outside. But like cheap wallpaper, one rip exposed how thin it really was. Victor Crane was everything I wasn't. 52, sharp suit, perfect teeth, the kind of man who turned cruelty into an art form. I'd watched him destroy careers with a pen click and a smirk. When he promoted me to regional manager 3 years earlier, I thought it was because he saw potential. Now I realized he just needed someone to take the fall when the time came. Lauren used to tell me I worked too much. You care more about that company than you do about us, she'd said once, her voice breaking over a half-cooked dinner. I told her I was doing it for her, for Harper, for the house we were still paying off. But deep down, I knew I was doing it for the only person who ever praised me, Victor Crane. Funny, how easily I traded love for approval. Lauren started changing about 6 months ago. New perfume, new clothes, new late nights. Book club, she'd say, though I never saw a single book. When I asked about the Victoria's Secret charges, she told me, just because you've given up doesn't mean I have to. I didn't fight. I was too tired. Too numb. My brother Ryan saw it before I did. Every Thursday, we met at Murphy's Tavern, his work shirt still stained with grease, mine pressed and pointless. She's different, man, he told me one night. And Crane? He's been sniffing around. Don't you see it? I laughed it off. Told him he watched too many dramas. But when I saw Victor's hand on Lauren's shoulder at the company Christmas party, something inside me cracked. Still, I did nothing. Just kept showing up, doing the work, convincing myself I could fix a marriage already gone. My mother, Evelyn, was the only one who didn't act surprised when I told her what happened. That man's got the devil's eyes, she said from her chair at Maplewood Assisted Living. You stay quiet for now. Let him think he's won. That call from the stranger haunted me. Who was he? What did Victor steal? I started digging, accessing old files, archived invoices, expense reports. Karen Blake, my assistant, loyal, gray-haired, soft-spoken, had been at the company longer than anyone. When I asked for copies of the Hayworth contract, she hesitated. Mr. Mercer, she said quietly, I don't want to get involved in this. But you should check folder 9B in the shared drive. The old one. 9B was full of ghosts. Payments that didn't line up. Accounts that existed only on paper. Transfers to companies I'd never heard of, shell accounts under different names, all linked to one address in Chicago. An address that belonged to Victor Crane. That night, I went to Ryan's shop and spread everything across his desk. Printouts, bank trails, signatures. He stared at them for a long minute, whistled low. You realize this is fraud on a massive scale, right? Millions. He framed me. I said. That's why he fired me. He's been using my logins, my approvals. If this goes public, I'm the fall guy. Ryan leaned back, jaw tightening. You're not going to the cops yet. Not until we know who that caller was. 2 days later, the caller found me again. This time, he sent proof, a video file. Grainy security footage from Victor's office. Him and Lauren, laughing, toasting champagne, and shredding documents. I recognized my own signature on one of the papers. The stranger's message came with it. He's been cooking the books for years. He thinks you're broken. Prove him wrong. That's when I stopped being the victim. Ryan helped me pull the files together. Karen risked her job to back up my claims. Evelyn, God bless her, Called an old friend whose son worked for the state attorney's office. Within a week, I had a meeting scheduled with the FBI. On the morning of that meeting, Victor called me. His tone was smooth as ever. "Daniel," he said, "I hope you're not doing anything stupid. People make mistakes. Let's not make this worse." I laughed for the first time in months. "You already did." When agents walked him out of Eastland Supply 3 days later, the same employees who'd laughed at me watched in silence. His gold pen was still in his hand. He didn't click it this time. Lauren left town soon after, moved to Denver, I heard. She sent one text. I didn't know he was stealing. "I'm sorry." I never replied. Harper came home from college that weekend. We sat on the porch, watching the sun set over the neighborhood I used to think meant success. She reached over and took my hand. "You okay, Dad?" I thought about it. About losing everything that had defined me. About realizing it wasn't loss, it was release. "I will be," I said. Because for the first time in 15 years, I wasn't living someone else's version of my life. I was finally free.